So it was during this time that I kind of shifted away from curatorial practice as I understood it, right? Which was like picking work to go on a wall, um, and moving to this space of dialogue and of community and of trying to understand, the different kind of spatial relationships that exist in a space like Rush Arts Gallery between works by different people, between visitors and artists that have kind of, created the architecture of the space. And really trying to understand the human component, right? So the educational component. How do we as people in this space process what we're seeing? Why is that even important? Is it? And what do we do with those revelations? So yeah, this was like my huge coming out moment. Like I curated 5 of my first exhibitions. I wrote a bunch of catalog essays, both for the gallery, but also for, independent artists and for art fairs. I was traveling all over the place, as a young person, like who did not really ever think that I could do that without kind of a proximity to an educational institution. I felt like I'd made it. I was like going to Miami twice a year for these art auctions. I was going, all sorts of places for studio visits and research, but I was also exhausted. Like I look at pictures of myself from that time and I was like 100 pounds thinner. I was probably green. I was running because I also was doing, hostess work by night to really just pay the bills. So there wasn't an hour of the day that I wasn't doing something for someone else for money. And then the recession hit. And so that kind of sorted that out for me, which was, I was laid off my job. I was really trying to imagine, I felt like I was just getting started. I felt like Rush was really just getting started in terms of understanding the work, understanding the community, and feeling a real kind of reciprocity and commitment to serve. But, things happen. So I was let go. And I really went through this soul searching moment of like, what are the things on this list that matter? What is not on this list that I know I need in my kind of toolkit of skills, vocabularies to succeed? And then like, what does the landscape of opportunity even look like when people are saying they have no money, nonprofits are contracting, and everyone I know is without a job, right? And so, I think, the kind of revelation that I had was like, take it or leave it. What I've learned from moving from Studio Museum to Rush Arts is that I love artist-founded institutions. I love artist-led institutions. I feel at home. I feel a sense of belonging there. There's a high risk, right? Because it's, especially with something like Rush Arts, where it's very small, it's run by a philanthropic foundation. So depending on how well that foundation does, that's, going to determine your general operating for the year. But even knowing all that, I was like, I don't care. I don't want to go work in a huge museum. I don't want to go work in a place where I don't have that proximity to the actual people that founded the space, and the actual people that lead the space wherever it's going to go in terms of evolution. Leaving the museum was super hard. I had a cushy job. I loved it. I loved everyone I worked with. My team was dope. We were doing really amazing things. We're beginning to develop an important trust with Harlem, with the people of Harlem, and especially the Community Advisor Network. I remember feeling like, I feel so bad leaving because this is just getting started. But, for me, again, risk, right? Like I was like, I feel too comfortable. I feel not uninspired, but I feel I need pressure from behind and also some sort of light in the front for me to really feel as though like I'm living my path and my journey. And so I'd reconnected with Titus. We'd met at the Studio Museum, in 2007. So like basically a decade before. And it was the opportunity to kind of learn from him what he was trying to build here in New Haven, to kind of lend my own expertise in building departments, building artist projects, building, all sorts of things through my career at the Studio Museum and before. And to just really embrace an opportunity to build an institution, an artist, centered and artist-led institution from the ground up. As you know, NXTHVN is still under construction, but when I had my interview, it was literally like where you see the NXTHVN sign in the gallery was just a pile of dirt. So I was like standing in some dirt, dreaming and imagining what it could be. And that just felt like a really rare gift. And so it was pretty easy for me to say, all right, everyone here at the museum, I love you. I've clearly come back to the museum multiple times before, so maybe this isn't the last chapter, but I need to go and pursue what feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity to me. And so that's where I came in summer of last year. And a lot of my work was really, working directly with the artists, the fellows that were there for a year-long fellowship. Because the institution is so new, a lot of my work was also in kind of treating them as the community that we know we need to serve, right? So it was a lot of interviews, it was a lot of analysis around what they expect, what they would hope for, what's lacking in the field in general, how NXTHVN might be a solution, right? So how we might do things differently than art school or than other residencies that are much shorter, right? Most residencies are like somewhere between 2 weeks and 4 months, but a whole year dedicated to a space and a place and a community is a gift. It's a rare opportunity. And so, just really trying to understand what the value proposition of that was from the artist perspective. And so, being fortunate to have worked with 2 classes. So pictured here is the current class. I encourage you all to go see them. They're amazing. And I've learned a lot from them and the class before. Also learned a lot from the high school apprentices, who all work within the studios of these artists. And for me, I'd been adjacent to working with young people, but I'd never had such a direct hand in imagining the kind of importance of mentorship, like how it plays out in a person's life in real time, but B, like remembering, young Nico, like on the Navajo Nation, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And just thinking of it as such an important stage of development, right? Which is like everything that you see, everything that you touch, everything that you witness is part of some kind of future dream or imagination that you have for yourself or for someone that you care about. And so, it was really awesome to be able to work with young people and to learn from what they found exciting, what they found challenging, what they were like, this is not anything I ever want to do anything with. And, to have that kind of factor into my practice as well in terms of, what the impact is and why we do this work in the first place.
In the program, in the MFA program at Yale, designers are encouraged to kind of find their own way of form, but also through language. And so there's a writing component. The graduate students are writing, they're making, they're in discourse. I'm curious, just you having kind of forayed into a writerly practice, having kind of wrestled with form and kind of the design of experiences. How do you see this kind of synthesis of all these different qualities or agencies that you now kind of possess?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, and I don't know how to articulate this perfectly, but I think it's like, and I maybe alluded to this earlier, writing becomes a really important kind of act of translation. And again, it could be for somebody, right? But I think using it as a tool for yourself feels really important and radical too. And so even if you're just like keeping a journal, which is like cheesy to say, but it's true. It's like, write the things down so they can live outside of your body and outside of your mind, and you can revisit them at different points in time from different angles and different ways. And so I see why, artists have sketchbooks, right? Like I think of, drawings that lead to painting as a form of writing, right? And so for me, it's like how to own it as a practice that produces a thing that you might not fully understand when you look at it the first time. And thinking that, no matter who you are and what you do, it's valuable to see how you've grown and evolved over time, and that writing is like a unique way to help you do that, right? So there's essays I wrote when I was like 23 that I reread now and like totally cringe because I'm like, what? Why would you put those words next to each other? Or like, what exactly was your politic at that moment, But I don't throw them away because it's like, A, I can't because they're part of the public realm. B, it's part of who I was, right? And so understanding that like, we're fluid people, we're evolving people. Yeah, writing feels like a really awesome tool to kind of help document and trace that. And then as I think about, all the different kind of projects and like entities that I'm a part of, writing becomes a really important, but also, I don't want to use the word marketable, but I'm just going to because we're pushing up on time. Marketable skill, right? Because I think it's like, when you think about what writing functions as, it's, storytelling and creating narrative and meaning making. And so the idea that things can exist on their own with like an aesthetic sense is important, right? But there's so much opportunity, especially for artists, to accompany, you know, what is experienced visually with a written form that can be intentionally disjointed or intentionally the opposite of disjointed, right? Like, I think that it's important to really understand how writing sits next to other things. And so that's why I'm so excited to work with you on, you know, whatever the platform for the book online is going to be, because, you know, for me, it's like all those things coming together is important. And I think that it's a exciting space of experimentation.